And we're here, but why am I in a close up? I don't know why that
There we
happened, but nevertheless, it is that time here to do another session of Comic Book Spectrum. But before we really get into it here, I still want to do the reminder. Yeah, March 1st is really coming up really quick. We're going
Oh
to
yeah.
be on the Multiverse Fundraiser again. This will be our third year with the Multiverse Fundraiser. We're going to bring you comics that give people hope here. So if you have never heard of the charity Comic Books for Kids, you need to look it up. That is a worthwhile organization that brings comic books to sick children to give them hope and something to do while they are getting treatments and everything here. And that's one of the few things that the Multiverse Fundraiser does here. So we are being a part of that again. That is going to be Sunday, March 1st at 1 p.m. Central here. You could go ahead and take a look at the full schedule at the multiversefundraiser.com here, or you could look up the social medias that's on the screen here for the Multiverse Fundraiser on Facebook and the Phoenix Sisters on YouTube. But nevertheless, how are you today? Because
You just had
I'm just trying to forget stuff. I just really am. It's like work day was enough as is, so I'm just really trying to forget and have some fun for a change here.
just the usual indie publisher, bull crap. Because every time, it's like every time you think you have something set and working, something, there's always that one thing that goes wrong. And I'm learning, just because working with something might work one way for one person doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you. Unfortunately, that's part of the game. Unless you have Image or Marvel or DC or Dark Horse or someone distributing your book for you and you're doing it independently, there aren't a lot of platforms that will distribute as well as print for you. The few platforms there are don't always, they're good at doing books. Lulu.com does books very well. Comics, on the other hand, that's a whole nother thing. And it gets to the point of, you can only do, when you're sitting there 2 hours adjusting, readjusting, adjusting, readjusting the file and page dimensions and stuff. And then you get it all where it's all the same size and everything is all set and everything, it's copacetic. You send it to them and it's like, oh, it's not the right dimensions for the book, it's too big. It's like, you know what, y'all can shrink that bitch down. But it's like, okay, I'm done, because I've spent like the whole afternoon going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And now, and it could have just, when they said, oh, you have pages that are not the same size as the rest of the pages in this file.
Just fix those pages. Just fix the pages and we move on.
And I did that. And for some reason, Clip Studio Paint, every time I got the pages resized to the dimensions, something else would slip with those 3 pages. And they were 3 of the older pages in the book. So it's like, great, fine. Let me see if I can, sit here and finagle this. But at the same time, when it was telling me, it could have said, oh, and the overall size is bigger than what you're printing out, which to me was like, that threw me, because it's like Amazon kept saying, they printed 6x9, and yet they want something like 8x12. Which to me makes no sense. If you are only printing it at 6x9, you don't need an 8x12. You don't need me to expand the dimensions to 8x12.
See, now that get into I hate to say this, but that get into how good of a printing service that these people might use here.
So Amazon can print a book that has some artwork in it, but I think comics, they've never been great with comics.
They've never been great with comics. So the problem I think you have is the distribution.
It's distribution, and it's like right now I've got like 18 copies to take with me to C2E2. So I'm not paying to print out any more copies. And whether or not I sit down and self distribute will be based on how quickly and how well those copies sell.
Mhm.
Because there's no sense in ordering 50 to 100 copies of a book and that nobody's going to buy. So it's like, well, let me see how well this does at C2E2. And I'll let everybody know this is the C2E2 edition. It is an advanced edition. We will, we're still working out with the printers. So long as the books are available, you can buy the book here.
Mhm.
If and I will then make if and I will make the rest of the book because I have to check with GoDaddy. And they have a couple of times said, hey, you should advance to a commerce site,
Mhm.
add e-commerce to it. So it's like, well, let me go check with them to see if that's still available. If so, we will start with that book. And if we get enough orders consistently for it, then I'll adjust as I need to. We'll and I've watched other artists, and there are artists who are like, I fill orders like I get orders in at the end of the month, the orders go out. So because I don't do Patreon because right now, just trying to keep up with that Patreon schedule, it's just, I just don't have the time for it. I have too much on my plate to then go, oh, now I got to remember, I got to put something out for Patreon. I got to make so many, if my art printer was still working, it would be easier because then I could just print out prints that I could then mail to people
Mhm.
as part of their Patreon thing. But since I can't print that at home, that means I have to go to an outside source. I have to get proofs back. I have to approve them and then put in the final order or order them without having to have the final proofs. And Comic Wellspring's like, well, you can send us the digital file because that's what they work off. But they're like, you should probably get a physical proof. And I'm like, I'm not going to have time for that. I don't know if I'm going to have time to do that. I was thinking of printing, and I'm going to show people because I talked to Joe about this. I'm going to print out this baby. This is Chevron Hajad. She is the lead character in an upcoming illustrated novel that I'm working on called Heir Apparent, and I'm not saying too much more than that. But I really like the way that this turned out, being done by hand. This is done in acrylic. It's done acrylic ink, acrylic, and colored pencil. So, and I'm going to have prints of that made, and I'm thinking I might also take the original with me if somebody's interested. I'm thinking I'll sell it for 150 if somebody's interested, but it has to be with the understanding that that's going to become the cover of the book. So you can't get up and say, you know, you can't, you
You
buy it
can't
with the
go buy it and then go eBay it to say, yes, the book is now out and I want $1,300 for it.
yeah.
So that's what I'm about to say. It's like higher, higher, like higher, higher, like price right, higher.
you know, and I don't have anything to review right now because for those of you who don't know, as Joe mentioned, we have the multiverse fundraiser coming. I am reviewing Diana and Nubia, Princesses of the Amazon, which is a book that was done. And it's the girls as preteens, they're between 12 to 14 years old. And so I think that'll be a good book because I also wanted to do something that was specifically aimed at young girls and young girls of color. So I found this book. I had already had the Diana Princess of the Amazons book, which I really loved. I got it for Wonder Woman Day over at First Aid, our
Mhm.
friend James. Um, so I really enjoyed that. And when I saw this was available, and they specifically asked that we have something that was inspirational.
Yeah,
And I
to give
thought, well,
hope.
yeah, inspirational, give hope and stuff. And I thought, well, you know what? There are a lot of little girls who end up Um, you see the St. Jude commercials. They come up on my feed all the time. But children in hospitals and stuff, and they spend along with the time that they spend undergoing what for them is often invasive and painful treatments, they also spend a lot of time, if they don't have parents who can be there because they have other siblings and stuff and the parents can't be there 24/7, they spend a lot of time alone on their own. And not all the kids, some of the kids can congregate. They have, some of these hospitals have areas where the kids can sort of sit and have community with each other. Some of them, because of their illnesses, can't. They're confined to their room. So something that little girls can read and dream is, in my opinion, very important. And so to find this book is really important to me. And so we're getting ready for that on the 1st. And of course, C2E2 is the last weekend of March.
Mm-hmm.
And we're getting ready for that. I have started on my hair.
Well,
And
you
those
started
are
on your
the,
hair. I'm up here worried.
why are you worried?
You should be worried every time you release a new title because you don't know if it's going to work or fail.
And I am worried about that too. Like I said, I'm not going to commit to, because I'm off Ingram Spark. If you get on Ingram Spark, they have their built-in distribution, and they will also distribute to Amazon, but they also will connect you to different, like stores like Barnes and Nobles and stuff, brick and mortars and stuff. So you can get that distribution arm, but it's like, okay, I don't want to put the cart before the horse. Let me see how people respond to the actual book at C2E2 before I invest more money into getting this book out there, and then nobody's interested.
But
So,
you understand why I'm more nervous than anything else.
and
Because
I get it. Your book is while my book is 18 plus, Joe's book is more adult
and this is
than
kind of like the first time that I'm venturing into that foray of more adult. And when we say adult, it is
adult,
adult.
and we don't have to say any more than that, you know. And I
But
get
it's
it.
fun. But it's fun.
I
It's still a fun. It's still, to me, it's a fun series.
we it they'll will this C2E2 is going to be interesting for both of us, because we'll both be unveiling new stuff, and so it'll be interesting to see how people react, how they interact. You know, um, I usually if I'm doing I will be doing Pose for Candy again this year, but I think I will not try to send people over to your side of the table if I know they have kids, or if I know they're teenagers.
Well, the thing about it is this: I cannot introduce this new book to everybody, and that's the thing. Because I was like, what I'm looking at from past C2E2s is that for a lot of reasons, it seems like the people who have the real purchasing power are the older adults here. There are certain people that love Amazonia. There's certain people that love the prime time Saturday night. Not so many into the AWF until after I get issue number 5 out and try to relaunch that again and get people start thinking about that. But this one, I believe, with people who go there and seek out that type of genre, I think I might be able to catch their attention. And
Yeah.
that's the whole thing here. And the bad thing about it is that I cannot promote this book the way that I would promote an Amazonia or a primetime Saturday night. I can say that it's being released there, but I can't like really delve into what it is too
Well,
much.
The Enslaved has a lot of adult themes. Um, and there have been times when I've had teenagers, especially girls, come and look at the cover and say, ask me what's it about, and I'll have to say, how old are you? Because it is 18 plus, just like And the Coming of Nighttime. And I'll have to say, I can't sell you this book. it's not legal for me to sell you this book. You're not 18.
Mhm.
I've had a couple of times where that teenager, because they've had an aunt or a parent with them, who's then said, "Oh," and we've talked about the book, and I've said what's in it, because there are aspects of sexuality, um, and things in there, and different, sexual taste and whatnot. So we won't go into the stat, but so I'm very clear with adults about what's, discussing what's in the book, and it's like, legally I can't sell this to this child. And a couple of times I've had an adult go, "Well, let me look through it."
Hey,
Hey,
Sean.
Bjorn. Oh, Sean. I'm sorry.
Bjornberg.
Sean Bjornberg. Sorry, I didn't catch it all at the second. I should have. I'm a little slow in the uptake today. But I've had adults say, "Well, can I leaf through it real quick?" And I said, "Yeah, this is the chapter, or this is the chapter." And they'll say, "Okay, I will buy this book because I want to read it, and then let the kid, if I think the kid it's problematic, I won't let the kid see it." But I actually had a little girl's aunt. She
No,
was
I was there.
16.
I was there.
Yeah,
I
so
was there. So it's not that in my case, it's not as easy. It's not as easy to sell because it's like you read it. It's anthological stories.
oh,
And
it's an anthology.
a lot of it is based upon different lores and stuff to that magnitude, which I can't really get into. But it's kind of like my homage, if for those who have read hentai, it's kind of like my homage to Ogenki Clinic, except I'm not dealing it from the medical side. My anthology stories are dealing with more of the psychological.
In fact, I actually earlier this week finished editing that book. So, I will happily talk it up though.
Yeah, because that's the
If
key. The
as
key thing
people
is
come, I will talk it up.
the key thing is I already did the first three. They're all ready to go minus the editing because 2 and 3 have not been edited. I could have
Yeah.
sent it over to her to get it edited, but I was like, no, let's start with issue 1. If people like issue 1, then it's like, okay, here's 2 and 3, and then we can schedule out everything for people to be constantly getting those books in their hands and keeping a lot of the different stories. The anthology stories do run several chapters, and I do break it down. For example, the one that reads "What You Need," I know for a fact runs about. I think I did it in 5 chapters.
Okay.
6 page chapters.
Okay.
Uh, the one about one size doesn't fit all is an ongoing anthology, and I already did 3 chapters of that in 8 pages here. There's another one that's going to be coming up here. There's like, and it is dealing with a model who doesn't fit the normal aspects here, and already did about 4 chapters of that in like
Okay.
6 to 8 page stories. And that's how I had to break it down, because each issue has a lecture portion of it that constantly explains a lot of the nuance, not to give away what this book is really about. It talks about certain nuances of a particular aspect of
Um,
how people see life in that aspect.
yes. That's a easy way to do it. I, on the other hand, am, like I said, just now putting the final touches on getting everything I need for C2E2. We got Courtney a T-shirt.
So that finally came in.
It came in.
She's going to be coming in there like Pinky Tuscadero.
Courtney, Joe is comparing you to Pinky Tuscadero.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like she's too young to be like, who? What? She would have
Just
no
really, she's
idea
never seen
about that
Happy Days, and she would.
unless she was old school TV watching.
Yeah, unless she was watching some sort of they now have channels that are just
Right.
nostalgia shows, but I she doesn't watch any of those. So it's like, yeah, she wouldn't know who Pinky Tuscadero is or who Leather Tuscadero
Right. The
is.
younger sister.
Yes, who I forgot she was played by an actual rocker because Leather was a musician. She was a guitarist and a singer. And
Leather, I forgot which band she was with, the actual band that she was with. And Leather was more into, if I remember correctly, Richie than Fonzie.
she
Pinky
looked
was
at
direct was Pinky and Fonzie was like that. And
and
they came close. They came close to almost, tying it out a couple of times here.
I think Leather looked up to Fonzie more like the big brother
Hmm.
because if
But
there
she, but she was definitely into
yeah,
Richie.
but if she had a problem, Fonzie was who if she didn't, she would talk to Pinky,
Hmm.
and usually Pinky would Pink if she didn't go to Fonzie, Pinky would go to Fonzie
Hmm.
and go, there, Leather's got this problem, we need to deal with it. They became sort of her parents because if I remember correctly, the sisters, their parents were gone, and Pinky was raising Leather.
Right.
So it was in many ways she and Fonzie were the parents for Leather. But what I'm trying to say is
See,
there was a real live the girl who played Leather was an actual burgeoning star. She was trying to make it in the music
I still
scene,
can't remember the band that
and
she was in. She was
putting
actually
her on
just.
the show was
Mhm,
another way of getting exposure for the music because I think she
mhm,
did original music for the show.
mhm.
But I can't remember, and I don't remember her career after the show ending. And I don't think her
That-
band
See, now you're making me not like
broke it
the
in.
later seasons of Happy Days because who Fonzie ended up with at the very end is kind of like a letdown.
I kind of quit watching after Jumping the Shark. It
Because
it
after
it it.
jumping the shark and
It started getting so much in the realm of the ridiculous, and by that time I had moved on to Laverne and Laverne and Shirley. I moved on to Laverne and Shirley, and then we were also just getting into Mork and Mindy.
mhm.
So I would
All the spinoffs were taking off very well, except for that show because by that time, after Richie left,
it they were
Chuck comes back. Fonzie becomes an auto shop teacher. And
yeah
then after he becomes an auto shop teacher at Jefferson, he ended up having feelings for I forgot which other teacher that was there, and it just fell apart. All of it just fell apart because it was more like Fonzie's want, kind of like leaving the whole biker solo image to become more of like a upstanding citizen type deal.
and people
I liked
didn't
it better when it was about Richie going to I think it was like UW University of Wisconsin, and they was talking about his like freshman and sophomore year at University of Wisconsin.
well people forget sometimes that when they started Richie and the gang were supposed to be sophomores or some sophomores or juniors.
I thought they was freshmen because Chuck was still around.
That's right. Chuck was there for the first season, and then after that, Chuck left,
Hmm.
and we never saw Chuck again. Right?
Until after the whole jumping the shark, because he eventually came back. Once Richie went to the army, Chuck came back,
Yeah.
and
But
that's how
by
Ted McGreeley came into the picture because he played older Chuck.
but I I think what it was is people forgot Ron Howard really was he was that central planet of which everything else
Hmm.
revolved because in this sort of chaotic insane world that he was inhabited with all these kooky characters, he was that sort of center.
Grounding force. He was the grounding
He
force that
was the
kept
grounding
everything to go.
force that allowed everybody else to be wild and crazy guys, because he was that grounding force. once you take that grounding force, all you've got left is wild and crazy, and parents who are kind of like, I don't, because the whole point of his parents was, I just don't understand kids these days.
Right.
Was that was their shtick, and then the mom then got sit on at Howard a couple of times. There was a couple of times where she, because it was supposed to be showing the beginnings of women's lib, where
Mhm.
housewives were beginning to think, especially as they were getting older, their kids are moving out, and they were looking at their husbands, going, "Oh, please, there's got to be more to it than this."
Well, that
Um,
was the whole thing with it's like Richie left.
mhm.
Lori Beth ended up moving in because they ended up getting married.
But the thing
And
is,
then
they
the whole
never
thing with
forget the younger sister. You'd have thought when Richie left Erin Moran, because she was the younger sister,
well,
they
they
would have.
spun her off, remember? They spun a show off with her with Joni Loves Chachi because
Oh,
she
that's
ended
right.
up graduating
She got
from Jefferson and they ended up going to I forgot it was someplace else in Wisconsin that they moved off
someplace
to.
else, and then when that wasn't working out, they did the thing where from Laverne and Shirley, they the guy who played the big ragu,
Oh, Carmine
yeah,
Ragusa.
Carmine Ruza, um, they did the show with him as the sidekick to I forget, she was such a at the 70s that she was suddenly in vogue. She had been a character actress in the 40s and stuff, and now in the 70s she was finding her stride again. And she did the show. She had the traveling show with the Vegas girls. They were showgirls. She had the show with the showgirls, and he was helping her with that show
I thought that was the reason why he left Laverne and Shirley.
because they had created that show, but he was not. It wasn't named for him. It was named for her character
Mm-hmm.
and the girls, and then he was her assistant. And for some
Well,
stupid reason, I thought,
how did they end up tying up the loose end between Carmine and Shirley? Because
I
they
forget.
were getting quite tight before he just left the show. And it was just weird that he leaves the show. He leaves the show, I think, shortly after they went to Hollywood, to California, because they left Milwaukee.
They left Milwaukee. They went
They
to
California,
Hollywood.
and then that's when he kind of like slowly drifted away, and it was just never seen again in the show.
Well, also that's around the same time that it suddenly that Laverne and Shirley basically just became the Laverne show, because Penny Marshall was kind of carrying the show herself, because the situation between her co-star and ABC and the production company,
Mhm.
and she wasn't there for that final season. That was Penny Marshall carrying the show. And I think Marshall realized what made this show work was Laverne and Shirley, not Laverne.
It
It
was
was
three things that made the show:
okay.
the balance between Laverne and Shirley, and the fact that they had to deal with Lenny and Squiggy.
And Lenny and Squiggy. But just when you take half that, it's just like with Happy Days, when you take half that nucleus
Right.
and it's gone, it starts to erode, things start falling apart.
Well,
Suddenly
Fonzie
it's
could not be a Richie. That's what ended up happening. They made Fonzie Richie.
they took this character that was the rebel, he was James Dean, and they then tried to turn him into who's the guy that was oh goodness, George, and I can't remember his name. It's so funny because I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I will shout this man's name.
George and what? What show are you talking about?
That Christmas movie with the angel and whatnot. And I
Oh,
only,
you talking about from James Dean to Jimmy Stewart.
Basically, that's what it is you that's
It's
it's
a
that's
Wonderful Life. You talk
It's a
about that
Wonderful
movie.
Life. It was like, because he was Mr. James Dean, and then suddenly he's Jimmy Stewart. That's a 180 switch. It's one thing if if it made sense and logic. It's another thing when this season's James Dean is suddenly this season's Jimmy Stewart.
Well,
And
again,
it doesn't make
it does.
sense, and you throw off you take your core audience, and they're like, okay, I'm done with this. And I kind of felt that way about Laverne and Shirley. I was at the point of going, Laverne was you know, she can't handle all this insanity because Laverne kind of teetered toward the insanity at times, with Shirley being more the grounding for her.
No,
They had that.
it's a difference. It's a difference. Laverne's chaos can only be quelled by Shirley's, if I could say, Shirley's. How can I put this?
They were both dreamers.
Shirley's neuroticness could only quell Laverne's chaos. However, in vice versa, Shirley's anxiety needed grounding from Laverne, who was very much in reality.
Yeah.
And that's what was missing. That was missing because Laverne can't deal with both sides at one time.
No, she can't be both. And kudos to Penny Marshalls for holding it down as long as she did. But it gets to be that point where when you screw that balance, you screw the show. All the things that made the show click, it's like one of the best things, and especially,
well, they created a character. They created a substitute, a wannabe substitute, Shirley, that wasn't very popular.
no, she wasn't, and
The character of Rhonda was not popular,
and especially, like I said again, when you've got a core audience, and and they see how the things they love about this show is eroding. They just kind of go, okay. Like I said, I think I got maybe a third of the way through that final season, and it was like, I can't.
It got to the point where Liddy and Squeaky could, if Liddy and Squeaky could carry a show by themselves, they would have already spun them off.
They would have already spun them off, and they could.
And it felt that Liddy and Squeaky was kind of like being moved more towards helping that balance, which again,
that's not
the
that
formula
was
for the
never
show
their
is
function. We were
the
used to
they make their appearance, they do their funny, everybody busts up laughing. Laverne and Shirley goes on their adventure. They might pop up again to kind of be like that counterbalance. It's like, okay, here's a break from the chaos. Here's another funny bit, and then they have resolved the chaos.
And the show ends. They were not supposed to be the main focus. They were ancillaries to what happened between Laverne and Shirley. So when you break that up, then everything you screw the balance. And someone says, well, we need to restore the balance, but it's like, it took, what they had was lightning in a bottle, and we only got Laverne and Shirley because those two did so well with audiences when they were being featured on Happy Days. They made such an impression on Happy Days that it was like, oh, maybe we could go somewhere with these characters if we set them this way and whatnot. Let's see how that goes. And it was lightning in the bottle. But that was something that happened a lot of times in those shows. You would have these great ensemble shows because at its heart, in many ways, these were ensemble shows. Yeah, you always had that grounding character or duo, but they were an ensemble show. Laverne and Shirley could have done the show without Lenny and Squiggy, but Lenny and Squiggy gave it that extra flavor that helped make the show itself. I always think of shows. like Taxi and a few other shows where they had this great formula, they had this great cast of characters, and they were doing really well. But somebody decides that they're not getting enough camera time, or Jed Hirsch decides, well, I'm the star of the show. My name comes
Well,
first. It should all be
times
about
out of
me.
10, 9 times out of 10 is always the network, because I've seen all of these documentaries dealing with the shows here,
But it's
and it's like,
somebody makes that stupid idea of, ooh, what if we change the formula? And it's like, no, it works. Leave it alone. Don't mess with it. It's not, you don't always get a Lucille Ball who, no matter where you drop her, because she is chaos. And the rest of the world is trying to like figure out how to deal with Lucy's insanity.
well, I'd still go back to, look who trained her.
Yes,
Look
but what
who
I'm saying,
trained her.
but
And
what I'm
then
saying is,
ask that question.
what I'm saying is that was a rare case
Hmm.
where you had a lead character who every version of her show was her name. Okay. In fact, the character she played was always her name. And audiences
It's some form of some fat faction.
and audiences were like great because they knew she was all that she represented a level of quality. No matter where you stuck her, you knew you were going to get the insanity, but you were also going to get a quality show. You were guaranteed laughs. You were going to enjoy the show because she then, by that time, she's running Desilu. She's making sure, okay, because she's not only learned from Sid Caesar, but she's also learned from Desi about what it takes to put that on TV.
You still
People
miss one.
forget
You
Desi
still miss one
innovated.
person. You still miss one person.
Who did I miss?
Red Skelton.
Sorry, Red Skelton. But what I'm saying is Desi is the one who innovated the change in the way TV shows were shot. But by then it was this, you built the set, you set up your camera, you shot
Not
the
only
scene.
shot, but distributed too.
Yeah, but I'm saying Desi was the one that introduced the 3 cameras
Mm-hmm.
and the live audience instead of a laugh track. Even though you can clearly hear you can clearly hear Desi's laughter on things. His laughter, especially on the classic "I Love Lucy," you can hear his laughter, and his laughter is so individual. It's like, oh my God, there's Desi. You know, I can literally hear when it's Desi's laughter. But what I'm saying is, Lucy learned. She was that rare individual who, no matter where you put her, she was going to shine.
How do
And
you
there are
outshine Fred McMurray on television? How? Lucy did it. Lucy did it on her own show.
but what I'm saying is, when you've got something where you've built it up around someone like that, there's a reason Carol Burnett did not go off TV until she decided she was done.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and she, of course, was under Lucy's. You know, she came up under Lucy. Lucy was the one who, she was appearing on Lucy's show before she got her own.
Mm-hmm.
And then Lucy could see that potential. It's like, let me teach you some things. So, you know, and Burnett was smart because she learned from Lucy. Get a team, get writers who get what you do and how you do it, get a team of actors around you who can do the job regardless. And she proved she could go on. She could just go on. She, Gleason, Lucille Ball were very rare.
That's why I feel sorry for Vicki Lawrence, because she was going to be next in that line because of Carol. But what happened with Carol caused that rift to happen, not because of anything that Vicki did. It was just the circumstances of how Mama's Family came about, who was the main writer in the relationship between Ryder and Carol.
Yeah. You know, and I think I keep thinking about sometimes, because yeah, those ladies were taskmasters, but
Mhm.
that was because they understood what worked and they knew their audiences. They knew their audiences from it. Burnett knew her audience because she started every dang show with talking to her audience on camera. Lucy would talk to them off camera. you know, Carol was like, no, put the lights up. Like, you got questions, I got answers. So people, that made them both very relatable. People felt like they understood, they got them. And of course, the way they portrayed the characters that they play. But that does, however, can make you very demanding. Because you have standards, and either you feel that people are up to that standard or they're not. And when they're up to that standard, yes, good, keep going. Um, and when they're not, you're not playing with that. There's, one of the things I think Lucy taught Burnett was when it's riding on you, you need to make sure everybody don't drop to the if the slowest member can't we were in the military. You didn't you didn't want to run as fast as your fastest, but you didn't want to slow down for your slowest runner either.
Right.
Because that was as much of a danger to the group as being too quick. Too fast, you wear everybody out before you even get to your destination. Too slow, you get caught.
Everybody gets so too leery of you and be like, okay, this is passe, time to move on to something new.
And both these women, and when you think of it, Carol, she was like timeless. Lucy, Lucy started in movies and then shifted to television. She went movies, radio, and then shifted to television, and
Again,
she excelled.
this is one of the few actresses that I know of that did dramatic and comedy like no tomorrow. How do you go from doing, I forgot what dramatic movie that she was in, and then come right back into like a Three Stooges short, a couple months later? It's like, how? And man, she played those roles in those Three Stooges shorts too.
Yeah, I mean, but you could see her level of commitment. And I know from what I've known about what both women behind the scenes is, their attitude is you're either committed to this to the level that I'm expecting or you're not. And I will give you only so much time to up your game, and then I'm gonna drop you because you're gonna slow everybody down, and I don't have that time. I neither the time or the interest in, because my audience expects this, not this. So when you've got that, yeah, it can make it hard. And unless you're used to that level of output, and these are women who came up. Um, especially if you think about Sid Caesar putting out, your show of shows,
Mm-hmm.
and of course the Dick Van Dyke Show, who was another actor
See,
who.
that's a whole nother can of worms
But
there
but
because
when you think about how the writers, because Carl Reiner had been a writer on Sid Caesar's show,
mm-hmm.
and he based a lot of that stuff on what happens, but he gives
Behind the scenes of
he
what happened with Sid
lifted the
Caesar,
curtain
it was quite obvious.
to what it takes to have to produce a show like that continuously. You're always trying to get the bit. You're always trying to make it work. And you can't, and you got a star who is like, this is the level. And you can't, and if you drop, you're gonna get, you're gonna catch it. You're gonna catch it.
And that's another thing with that cast for Dick Van Dyke. That was lightning in a bottle because I think about Mary Tyler Moore back then. Mary Tyler Moore was to me was replaceable in that show but we would have never got the Mary Tyler Moore that later became the
The Mary,
noteworthy actress much later. That show kind of groomed her
and also we would
to
have
what
never
she
got
will eventually get to.
we would have never got MTM
Yep.
and all the shows. She, like Lucy and then like Carol, went on to produce other people's stuff. She was like, yeah, I can do this, but we can also do that. But you also think, because when I look, when I watch the her show, the Mary Tyler Moore show, I can see so much of that Dick Van Dyke Show energy in it. It's more updated, it's more done to fit the time, but you can see the roots of that. She was learning, she was paying attention, she was thinking, and it showed in her show. And I love that about her. And yeah, the first season Laura was kind of a throwaway. She was, anybody could have played her, but as that
By the
role, as
time we get
she
to
got later on in the show, they started developing her. The time where they did she got they asked her to fill in on the show because one of the dancers got sick. And it was like, well, Laura can sing and dance a bit. Why don't we just have Laura on there? Because that way we don't have to hire
it's like,
someone.
but it was like, but what would Rob say about this? Oh, Rob would be okay with it. This, that, and the other. It was a major shock to him.
But and then the one about the boat where he
Oh,
got the bot, it was, and then the horror film one where she and the neighbor, it was they had seen something, they had been watching something on TV together, and then insanity, and
yeah.
Millie was like her best friend. They
Oh,
became
no, the
best.
neighbor. She was the neighbor.
Yeah, Millie was a neighbor, but they they realized those two together
Hmm.
were gold, and you started seeing more Laura Millie stuff, like the thing with the horror film, and then Millie, one of them spilled grape juice on a thing, and the other one thought it was blood, and they were just like totally, they were chaos incorporated.
Hmm.
And it worked for the show. It didn't take away from the show. It added, there was that extra juice that just added to the show. Richie to me became the Richie to me became the real throwaway character because his character never really grew within the show.
Oh, we're still talking about Mary Tyler Moore, right?
No, we're talking about Dick Van Dyke. Within the world of Dick Van Dyke, Richie was the character to me that never grew
You
because
talking about the son, right?
yeah, the son. He was the kid. He was cute.
I thought it was Robbie. His son, his son name was Robbie, or
No,
was it Richie? It was Richie.
Rob Petrie is the Dick Van Dyke character. The
Yeah, but
son's
I thought
name
his
is
son was.
Richie. Nope.
I
The
thought his
son's
son's
name
name
was
was Robert Jr. and they called him
nope.
Robbie.
Richie.
Okay,
Richie.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Once they got rid, once they stopped focusing in on him in season one, it just seemed like everything flowed. Everything just so flowed.
his best episode was the one where he presented he was supposed to perform the song "You're the Top." You're the top, you're the top, you're the top, you're the tower of the piece. You're the top, you're the top, you're the top, you're the Mona Lisa, you're the top, you're the top, you're the tower. You're the top, you're the tower of Pisa, you're the top, you're the Mona Lisa. And he had to do it in a bunny suit.
Hmm.
And they at the end of that episode, he performed there. Rob doesn't get to see it. I think it's the episode he was trying to get things done so he could get to see Richie's performance, and he never got to see the performance. And then he gets home, he apologizes to Richie because he's like, I really wanted to be there. And Richie performs part of the song for him in the little bunny suit.
Hmm.
It was cute. But Richie to me was kind of, and a lot of times Richie wasn't there because a lot of it, and I always loved it because I thought it was a sophisticated adult show because when they shot most of those scenes in a home, they were throwing, especially the first scene, they had the parties and they were performing skits and singing and stuff like that. So they were doing things, were having this child involved really didn't work because
Right, because a lot of those parties and stuff with really pitch meetings, because again, the nature of his business, it's like they had all these different skits, and it was not child friendly type
yeah,
stuff
it
that was
was,
going on.
he would perform, Sally would perform,
Hmm.
they would perform little, they would have these parties where they had people that they knew in the business as well as neighbors
Hmm.
would come, and they would perform, or it'd be all these things. um so that Richie was really very ancillary. If you think about this show overall, Richie was very ancillary. Very seldom was Richie, like I said, besides that one, was an integral part of not just the show, but the theme or the episode.
Hmm.
He really wasn't that integral, other than a quick, Laura's in there cooking. Come in the house. Hi, mom. How you doing? Say your quick little cute line. Go away.
Or
You know?
Dick Van Dyke comes in. It's like, oh, hey Richie, want to throw the ball around? Sure, let's go ahead and I'll meet you outside type deal.
And then he never gets there. I always picture poor little Richie with his little mitt.
Uh-huh.
Like, Dad, Dad. I always thought maybe Richie grew up to be a serial killer or something.
No, but that those are the types of things that back in the day. It's like when you watch that type of stuff, it makes you think. It really does. You know, especially with the behind the scenes type stuff. At least with the documentaries and stuff that coming out now about a lot of these different shows.
And you're learning actually what happened and how, um, if you did, especially back then, because they were so good at keeping things, if somebody had a problem with drugs or alcoholism or something like that, they really bust their asses keeping that under wraps, you know.
And that
And
it's like popular shows. I mean, look at popular shows such as like we mentioned like Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley, some of the other stuff that was like everybody used to get around the TV and watch, such as like Hollywood Squares. Man, there's like stories that if he was a fly on the wall, people, it's like Peter Marshall, like, yeah, this. It's like some of these days after shooting, and especially after the alcohol gets flowing, it's like, yeah, it's like, and he was talking about, it's like this was like he's coming from like a theater musical background, and he's hosting this, and he's like, yeah, that's like this was a lot for even for me in my younger days to really take
and
really take in and understand.
and that was something that I always thought, when I look back, and I think that was also that magic time, because you had so many people coming from diverse
Hmm.
performing backgrounds. People forget, Vivian Vance and the guy that played Fred were vaudevillians.
Hmm.
They had been performing. That's how they knew them, because they had been performing
William Frawley, I believe.
at the end of the vaudeville. People forget. And yes, we're getting in a wayback machine. Um, a lot of people, it's like, I think James Cagney.
Hmm.
Most people remember James Cagney for playing like thugs and gangsters.
It was
People,
another movie that he made that made him a household name, where he played a serious actor, not a gangster.
he actually played Lon Chaney Sr.
Right.
He was in the movie, but he also did Each Dawn I Die, which was, he played the reporter who had been jailed because he wouldn't name a source.
Hmm.
Um, but people forget, he got his start on vaudeville. He was
Hmm.
a song and dance man. And and I knew it because when we were kids, Yankee Doodle Dandy, every July you'd see Yankee Doodle Dandy on Family Classics or something. But he not only did that, but there is a Bob Hope film where he and Bob Hope dance on a tabletop. They're
I
on
forgot.
they're
I forgot the name of that one.
it's a Bob Hope film, and I can never remember it, but they do a dance number on a tabletop, and you can see where Bob Hope is more of a trained dancer, and that Cagney is more self-taught, and
Hmm.
his tradition is more Irish step dancing, and you can see that in his. I was watching that. Every time I see that scene, it's like, yeah, Hope's got more training, classical training. Cagney is more. He grew up dancing on the street. He got into vaudeville, but he's more Irish step dancing in his movements. If you whenever you see him do his, even though he does the little thing, um it's very there's a lot of his moving when he's doing tap that's very Irish step dancing. And I'm sure he probably did that because if he did the traditional Irish step dancing, the directors would go, "What are you doing?
Hmm.
No, no." You gotta sell this. But he was, like I said, he had come up on vaudeville, and so many of those movie stars, those classic movie stars, had come through from vaudeville. Or and we saw, I think Lucy did it, Carol Burnett did it to a degree. They brought people from the New York theater scene.
Hmm.
The last, when they had the hour long Desi Lucy variety show, they were bringing actors and actresses you wouldn't have heard of because they were big on New York in the theater scene, but they brought them onto TV and suddenly gave them this broader audience. So they were suddenly not just names you might see in a magazine or on, or newspaper. It's like they brought Gloria Swanson.
Hmm.
She had Gloria Swanson on there. Lucy brought a lot of people on there. But I used to love watching those old movies and then going, "Oh, that's vaudeville." You get when you looking at it now. As a kid, I just thought it was just all great entertainment. Now, and back then, for those of you who don't know, back then to get a contract, there's a reason why the joke is always about Fred Astaire, because they didn't just send your picture in. You had to go through an audition process. Nowadays, you audition for a specific role. Back then, you had to audition to the studio, and they wanted to know, could you dance, could you sing, could you act, what did you look like on camera, and they would judge you on all of those things, and those things would decide whether or not you got a contract.
Hmm.
Because you had to, back then you had to be more malleable. You might be doing a dance number in one movie where you're dancing in the background and singing, and then doing a big dramatic piece the next. Even if you were a headliner, you never knew. There were people who did musicals who should not have done
Wasn't the
musicals.
thing about Astaire was the fact that, oh, he's too skinny, nobody would take him seriously as a leading man.
No,
Leading man, he could dance real good.
no, it was he was over 40. He was balding.
He could dance real well, but
He
he was
could
too
he
skinny, and
that
nobody could take him.
rated
Nobody could take him seriously as a leading man.
He was over 40. He was balding. Not that great an actor, but he could dance. That's actually what it said. He
Yeah,
could dance a little.
little right.
Um, and he then got that. Was it flying? He got that little bit scene along with Ginger Rogers in
Hmm.
Flying Down to Rio, and people went, "Oh, they've got something. These two can move." And of course, the rest is history.
Hmm. But they did not like him. They did not like him at all. They hated him.
Yeah, a lot of them, because at the time they were looking for the more heroic leading man type. And The thing is,
He was
he's
coming
not.
off Guy Next Door for some reason.
He he wasn't. He was Mister, top hat and tails. He wasn't the burly dude next door. He wasn't the. He wasn't Mister Punch Your Lights Out. You know, that was not his. That was not him. And but he had. It was like he did one thing. He did it exceptionally well, and he built. Even now you hear people who sing and dance. They talk about Astaire. They talk about Rogers. They go, the smart ones. Nowadays, you get picked for a specific role. Back then, you couldn't get a job if you didn't have a variety. And then, even if you had that, it was like, okay, they can walk and talk, but they can't sing and dance. Lessons.
Mhm.
You had to learn how to you had to know how to ride a horse. There was there were a lot of things you had to be able to do.
But the studio owned your life. That was the difference.
That
The
was the difference.
contract made those contract means studio owns your life. You no longer have a personal life. The studio owns it. And that was the difference between back then and now.
And the question they would ask you is, how bad do you want it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, how bad do you want it? And there are a lot of younger actors I see now that would not make it in the system.
Not in
Just
that system.
no, that's what I'm saying. If you think about the system, there are a lot of them who, and some of them are big names, but I think old Hollywood would chew them up and spit them out within a couple of weeks, and they'd be back on the farm. The old saying, "How are you going to keep them down on the farm now that they've seen Perry?" They'd be back on the farm.
Mhm. But
Yeah. And
trying to make you happy. You want to know why?
Fang Face.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's time for you to have your lycanthrope cartoon series. And yes, it's like tonight's cartoon is Fang Face, because we was talking about all the Ruby Spears type stuff that was a part of the original Plastic Man comedy hour.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that we never brought back up and everything here.
Hey, Leia. This is go time.
No time for
You,
lollygagging.
you want to make us more psychotic than we already are? Don't do that. We've had enough of these. Like, if you think we sound crazy now, you should see it. You should have seen us like over the weekend.
Just or even on Monday, the holiday. Like,
Yeah, I worked on the holiday.
I'm just up here like, oh. And I was like, my first comment to Elaine was, I was expecting more of Elaineisms in the edit. He's like, I just wanted to concentrate on copy editing. And it's like, well, I know you're going to do that. Oh, now she's going to be all capitalist. Talking about quiet, you. No more $28 fudge. It's not like you're going to show up with like 3 cases of Shasta and a cooler and be like, yeah, Shasta, like pop 50 cents.
I got something to show you when we're done with Fang Face. I want your opinion on
Let's see,
it.
now I forgot what I was going to say about Fang Face. Yeah, Fang Face was one of those features that was on the Plastic Man Comedy Hour that really didn't get much shine because it was a little bit like a spoof of, if I could say it in this, it was spoofing Scooby Doo, but instead of having a dog, he had a vampire, not a vampire, a werewolf. Werewolf.
Goodness.
So it was just one of those things. It's like, why do they have to make the shaggy like dude, the werewolf? And then it was not like any type of werewolf. It was kind of like a jokey, heroic werewolf that just pretty much just doesn't give a care one way or the other. But it is what it is. But nevertheless, here we have it. I think this is episode 2 of Fang Face.
Oh, okay.
Fang Face. Every 400 years, a baby werewolf is born into the Fangsworth family. And so when the moon shined on little Sherman Fangsworth, he changed into Fang Face. A werewolf. Only the sun can change him back to normal. And so little Fangs grew up and teamed up with 3 daring teenagers, Kim, Biff, and Pugsy. And together they find danger, excitement, and adventure.
Again, Scooby-Doo. She said that's Dee Dee when she's hungry. Fang Face.
And that's straight out of Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
Who can save the day? Who can wrong the rights and right the wrongs? None other than Fang Face.
Ooh, ooh.
I've seen that background before.
Mm-hmm.
At long last, I have discovered the ancient tablet of Montezuma.
Congratulations, Dr. Melendez. You've been searching for it for years.
Yes, and the tablet reveals the exact location of the priceless Montezuma treasure.
But the curse? What about the curse of the mummy of Montezuma?
What? Who is in here? We have the tablet, Mr. Gruder.
Quick, back to our headquarters before the sleep smoke wears off and they awaken.
Sleep smoke.
Well, we know what that sleep smoke was.
Almost over Dr. Melendez's exploration base on Pelagroso Island.
Yeah, I heard all about the curse of the mummy of Montezuma and how he comes to life, rises from the
Come
sea.
on, that's Shaggy all day long.
Even the posture, it's total Shaggy.
He's gonna scare me.
Besides, Dr. Melendez is a friend, and when a friend asks for help to locate a stolen tablet,
And stop the crooks that stole it.
And we got ethnic Daphne.
Ooh, and I got just the thing to find it with.
What's that?
Radar. It helps you find things. It can tell you when something's getting near our plane, like a mountain, or a seagull, or a mosquito, or a gnat, or a...
Shut up.
Ooh, boing, 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 boing. Radar contact. Boing, boing. Ooh, look, we're being followed.
They have come to help Dr. Melendez.
That plane should have passed them 6 times.
Yes.
Ooh, Biff, look out.
A seaplane versus a jet. Come on now.
push us down into the sea.
How are we gonna stop
It's
those
a seaplane.
Yeah, pump, how?
Oh no, he saw the moon. Actually, this is not Hanna-Barbera. This is Ruby Spears.
Those crazy creeps are no match for Fang Face.
That's me, you creep.
I did it again. I'm
I
sorry.
forgot the actor. They're
Get up here.
they're satirizing this particular actor.
Right. How come other things are not coming out of the airplane when he opened up the door?
To pressurize the whole thing.
Yeah.
But when you're a kid, you're not thinking science. Like his fur is not moving.
But we've got
Yep.
to get rid of it.
Right. You can't flip a plane like that.
This time, I'll fix him for sure.
How is okay? He's ruining their own plane. That is messed up.
Cut that out. It's us. Ooh, sorry.
He walked on.
He just walked back in just like it's nothing.
Light is in this cloud cover.
Moloso Island. This is Mr. Luis, who is in charge of Mexico's national treasures. He's here to assist us in finding the treasure of Montezuma.
The ancient ship carrying it was sunk in a storm about 2,000 years ago, along with sacred statues.
He's the bad guy.
Montezuma.
But what of the curse of Montezuma?
Yeah, is it for real? We don't know. But many old people who live here claim that the last time anyone approached the treasure, the mummy rose to the surface and almost destroyed the entire island.
The Montezuma tablet was stolen by Mr. Gruler, the notorious collector of antique treasures.
And it's up to us to prevent him from getting the treasure.
And from unleashing the mummy.
Right. We'll dive in the treasure area first thing in the morning and set a trap.
This is so much like a bad parody of Scooby-Doo.
Wolf, you let those meddling kids arrive.
I wouldn't even give it Speed Buggy. They haven't reached Speed Buggy level.
The difference in here, he could be what's his name? Twin.
Fang face. We got a busy day tomorrow.
Soon as I wash up, pugs.
How did they know how to find them?
Those
Exactly.
kids are inside. Release the contents of the basket.
Oh,
That snake will take care of them.
right.
Brush his teeth with a snake. And the snake is not even hissing or anything. It's just like, okay, I'm just going to sit there.
Oh, so take your towel. Is that supposed to be a cobra?
No, it's supposed to be an anaconda, I think.
I'll teach you. I'll stuff you in that bottle of sun-slick hair oil.
That's the messed up thing.
Look at this picture of the moon.
Not the actual moon, just a picture. The picture.
Never mind pugs. Get that snake. Ooh.
Just bite it.
Gotcha.
Fang face, he's got you.
Ooh, you're right. Me.
Bite it.
Good work, Fang face. That'll hold
Right,
that
because
snake in
throwing a
cheek.
hat, a sombrero over a snake always confuses it. Now he's dizzy.
Now I'm just up here
We're
trying to
almost over the
think
treasure site.
to myself,
Everybody ready?
Ready and raring.
could they keep Baneface in this form
Just to cover
during
all
the day?
bases.
Well, if they get him underwater before the sun
You mean that
rises.
cage?
Exactly. We lure those crooks into it and trap them inside. Ooh, you're a genius, Pug. Gosh, you know everything better than anyone knows anything. Nobody knows anything much as you know everything because you know everything.
What a world. What a world.
What a wonderful world.
We should be over the treasure.
The
now.
sun has not risen yet, and it should have been out.
Yes.
How much time is supposed to, the sun should be.
That means we'll have to go
You-
to the ship in order to find the cave entrance.
Right. Okay, everybody. Let's go.
This was made before Jaws.
Yep.
There's the ship.
Something busted out of that ship. Am I the only one that noticed that?
Wait, they went into a ship, but yet they're swimming in like regular sea.
Water.
Yeah, now now it's showing inside of an actual ship.
Help! Jaws got me in his jaws!
Oh no! Every time Baneface sees food, he eats Pudsey.
Oh my goodness.
Pussy is food to him.
Hiya, Biff. You wouldn't happen to have a napkin, would you?
I got a foot.
Oh.
And he's able to open his mouth beyond his mask.
Help! Get me out of this mess!
He found treasure.
Yeah, come on. Good work, Pugsy. You found the treasure of Malazuma.
I did? I did. Ooh. You look cute with that big necklace of the sun.
Oh no.
Fangs saw my sun jewel and is changing back to Fangs. Huh? How'd I get down here? I don't remember going swimming. Hey,
And that's another thing that I didn't like about it. They have no recollection of what the other one does.
Yeah.
Look, there's the mummy's case.
Forget the mummy. We got the treasure, so let's hide and wait for Gruler.
Get them. We don't have to wait. They're here.
No fair, we weren't ready.
Yeah.
No
there's
fair,
one.
we weren't ready. Wow. What a line.
That looks like a safe place.
No. Oh, you idiot.
They won't get us in here, and you didn't think I was smart.
I know you ain't smart. Instead of getting us out of here, you locked us inside our own trap.
Trap? How am I supposed to know this is a trap? I don't even know.
Lucky guy, boss. It's like, hey, wow. Ooh.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
That's
there's the
straight out of
mummy.
Johnny Quest.
Quest,
The
yep.
mummy of Malazuma.
Remember? The mummy. I told you. He's rising from the sea and going for
Again, I just want to know how Rankin. Well, then again, it makes sense that Ruby Spears did get some stuff from Toph when it comes to like concept sketch and everything.
Yeah, but the mummy is also generating oxygen.
That thing said, Mummy said, "F that cage, you ain't saved."
You don't have to ask twice.
That's mine. I'll give you back my shit. Yeah.
Only thing is they ain't got it. So the mummy's kind of like, he's not all there because usually the monster knows who immediately goes after who's got it. They can home in on it. Great. Let's
go and pick up a tree. It's like, I'm angry. Give me back my gold.
Dr. Melendez said the only way to stop the curse and return the mummy to the sea is to replace the treasure.
Which means we've got to find where Gruler and his men are hiding it. Listen, it's him. Tall, wet, and bandaged.
There's no time to lose, gang. We'll use the speedboat and search the whole island. But first, we'll need Fangface.
Fangface? I don't know any Fangface. Who's Fangface?
Never mind. Just look at this picture of the moon.
Why didn't they just look up? It's like, hey, Fangs, look up. What? Oh, moon.
Where's Pug? Where is he?
Fangface, that's a no-no.
Come on, we'll search the island by sea while Fangface searches by air.
Yeah, I'll search by air. By what?
He can't fly.
Why do I gotta be up here? Why me? Why? I don't even have wings.
A werewolf afraid of heights.
Werewolf eyesight, so keep your eyes open. Sure, Pug, sure. Just let me focus my eyes. Ooh, what have we here? I see him! I see him! A big yacht! Stop the boat!
When you stop the boat.
Where you falling, poodle brain? Why did you have to make a sudden stop? I mean, suddenly you stopped, and all of a sudden you stopped. Suddenly, your wife will
You said stop the boat.
Shut up. Take that back.
Okay, guys. Now let's get aboard that yacht.
I'm so looking for him to have some type of ascot up under that turtleneck.
Yeah, I was about to say he's pretty much Fred. Fred is a little a little broader, but yeah, he's pretty much just Fred with brown hair.
Excellent. Prepare to weigh anchor and leave this
And
accursed
why does he look like Captain Picard?
Getting set to leave.
I don't know.
We better
The
split up.
dude, but if you look at him, it's like, oh my goodness, that's Captain Picard with an eye patch.
Shh. Sure, Pugs. Shh. 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 Uh-oh. Fangface sees himself in his mirror. He'll go bananas and ruin everything.
Hey, Pug! How come you're standing in front of that mirror, huh? How come?
What mirror?
That mirror!
Wow, really?
He gets hot and bothered at the sight of another werewolf. Oh,
Okay, there's the curly shuffle.
Yeah.
Wait, Fangface! No!
That's a lot of that's a lot of duct work for that particular ship.
Mm-hmm.
Look, Fangface! We found a treasure!
Now give it back to the mummy.
Kim, we got the treasure! Let's get out of here!
Stop them!
Yikes! Mummy dead ahead!
Give it to the mummy. Just hand it to him.
I was about to say.
Fangface, toss him the treasure! Sure, Pug, sure.
Oh no. Captain Picard got it.
And Grueller's got the treasure.
Quick! Get the treasure into our speedboat. We must get away.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, Grueller's getting away! After him!
Okay, I'll see you later.
Bye.
Pugs! Quit disrupting me, will you? Can't you see I'm busy navigating this ship?
Navigating.
Pugs! Beg you quit disrupting me!
Why is the mummy after them?
I tried to tell him.
Oh, he's not going on right now. Okay.
Taxi, you're heading into the jungle.
Right, because those boats run so well on land.
Look out! We're trapped.
Now there's just one more thing to take care of. Come on, Fangface. I'll just relieve you guys of the treasure. Yeah. Oh, boy. Well, that wraps this adventure up.
Don't you have a hoverboat?
Cover speedboat. Give him back his stuff.
And this time, don't goof. Right. Ooh.
Why can't you just give it to him, Pugs? You got scared?
Well, he's
He's stupid.
You're welcome.
he can understand mummy all of a sudden.
Oh, Fangface, you did it. You were super.
Ah, shucks. It was nothing.
Oh, it was something.
Ruler and his men are in jail, Dr. Melendez.
And the mummy's back where he belongs.
And here's your stolen Malazuma tablet.
I don't know how to thank you, kids.
Don't thank us. Just see that nobody ever abdicates with that tablet again. I got a tummy full of mummy.
I forgot what other character Pugsley remind me of.
That's a picture of the sun.
And again, the sun has never came out since they got there.
Yeah.
Why am I all wrapped up, huh? Hey, what happened? What's going on? What? If we told you, you wouldn't believe it anyway. Tell me. I'll believe you. I'll believe every single word. I promise. Okay. You saved the whole island from the mummy of Montezuma. You flipped? I don't believe a word. Not a single word. You hear? Not a word, not a syllable.
See, Ruby Spears. No, wait. Hold on. I got to stop it for a second. Hold on.
I'm gonna go back and see the voices.
It is Scooby Doo like because why?
Frank Welker.
Frank Welker. Ah, come on.
Can you pause it?
Yeah, we can pause it.
Okay.
Frank Welker, who played not only Scooby Doo, he played Fred as well. So that's why
Ted Cassidy.
Ted Cassidy was in here. I was like, I'm like, whoa, wait, there's a lot of known people that was in Fang Face, which I didn't realize here.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw Frank Welker, it's like, oh, that's the reason why it's so Scooby Doo like. They got one of the main voices from Scooby Doo.
And also, this is at a point where Cassidy wasn't doing as much on screen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so a lot of older actors went into voice acting because it was,
still money.
It was still money, and because they had a little cachet with them, they could get a little more money.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they had to because they got residuals unless you were top tier stars back then. Residuals didn't go to you. Film Waves. This has been a Film Waves presentation.
Yep. Yep. Then that was actually Fang Face for everybody here. That was again, I just didn't realize how a lot of the Ruby Spears stuff just did not age well. Like some of the Hanna-Barbera stuff. Like I can still watch Johnny Quest and be entertained.
And Johnny Quest has also, it's a comic book. People are buying it. People are reading it. Clyde used to actually review Johnny Quest among other titles.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but it's also, Johnny Quest was also more top tier Hanna-Barbera.
Mm-hmm.
This is like, Fang Face is like they got a contract because somebody needed they needed to put something up in that half hour that wasn't classic TV.
Well,
so they got Fang Face.
You have to be mindful. This was a part of a hour-long cartoon series, so you got like these, 20-minute skits that will play along with Plastic Man.
And it was that attitude of, well, it's an hour. It'll keep the kids occupied while mom's trying to make dinner or whatever.
That still doesn't explain Goldie Gold and Action Jack, to be quite honest.
Back then, because this was a time where the smarter kids were watching PBS. So and a lot of these guys, their attitude was like, kids are stupid. They'll watch anything.
It's like, yeah, this made for kids to watch and chuckle. Yeah, be like that. Like that she watched
okay.
along. She was like, he's a
He's a
goofball. Yes,
goofball.
he was a very
And
much
and,
of a
and
goofball.
and it is that sort of it's that that overplaying it, the overacting,
Right.
you know.
It's like so they did their job as adults. We still like Scooby Doo and Johnny Quest, and there's nothing like the original Scooby Doo and Johnny Quest. But then again, like I said before, it's like we had what funk. They tried to replay this whole thing so many times. Oh goodness, I don't want anyone to think about. I'm going to keep myself from doing that one for next week. Here, we are not doing Rickety Rocket.
Oh, okay. That's fine with me. I don't even remember Rickety Rocket.
Okay.
Who's 65? Okay. Okay. 65.
No, but seriously, it's like all the spoofs from Scooby Doo that they did. It's like the Funky Phantom. The Funky Phantom didn't work. Speed Buggy didn't work. Captain Caveman and the Angels did not work.
Because so much of it was
The Great Smooth did not work.
some of it was, you know, they were just kind of rehashing the same old thing. You know, new day, same old story. And they would just go, okay, we'll take that formula, but instead of a caveman, we'll just do a guy who turns into a werewolf and doesn't know it.
But this kind of sort of worked in that weird, okay, we're not taking this seriously. It's a spoof, it's a parody, it's meant to be funny.
It's meant to be stupid and
it.
funny and stuff, but there's also that part of me is like you said, there's Fred, there's Jack, there's Daphne. He's like this guy is like, you know, if Scooby and Shaggy had a baby. You know,
it's just weird because I think of Scooby Doo. The only one that really worked that was like Scooby Doo was Josie and the Pussycats.
And when you think about it, Scooby and Josie, they were contemporaries.
Mm-hmm.
They were contemporaries, and they also had different things going for them. You know, Josie and her crew, they were musical acts. Scooby Doo had musical. They had those little musical points in it while when they were doing it, but they weren't a band.
Right. That's the reason why Jabberjaw failed. Jabberjaw failed because Josie perfected that niche. Because if you remember Jabberjaw was about a band too that had a singing shark.
Had a singing shark, but the thing is there's a point where you just keep rehashing it. You know, you just keep rehashing the same old thing. They're not coming up with original ideas. And
that's why Rickety Rocket failed.
You know, and I think maybe that's why, especially, you know, kids started getting more into anime and, you know, certain PBS shows were finding better audiences because the stuff that they were getting on the networks was just kind of rehashing old stuff. It wasn't.
Well, we're still before the big anime boom here. This is still early 1980s.
I'm trying to think. Precursor was Steve. We had Speed Racer in the 80s. Speed
Racer was earlier. Speed Racer, right. I believe it was like 1960. It's like I want to say like 66 or 67.
70s.
Right, because you had that. You had
Racer when I was
like 8 Man, Speed Racer, Astro Boy.
Astro Boy and Gigantor were done in the 50s, but didn't make it over here until the 60s.
Right.
Because I grew up watching Astro Boy and Gigantor. And then Speed Racer came out when I saw it was in the 70s. Because I was in middle school. Yeah, I was in middle school when Speed Racer came on, and that was in the 70s. Yeah. 1967?
Yeah. First run on television in 67. I remember that because of the simple fact that we got to see reruns in the 80s. just like
I saw reruns
with
in the
Battle of the
70s,
Planets. Battle of the Planets was in reruns in the 80s. So
80s.
that
Yeah.
came out, had to come out in like the 70s for a short period of time. I want to say like 1978 was like Sandy Franks presents Battle of the Planets.
Yeah. Yeah, because
Because
I was
I remember in
17.
1980s we were watching that on 32 before it got re-released in the 90s up under G-Force and Eagle Riders. And Saban tried to do a lot of different stuff on those older anime franchises here. Same thing with Star Blazers and Robotech.
Robotech and Star
We got those in the 80s.
the
It was first
original
one in the 80s.
the original Captain Harlock series.
That was 70s.
Okay.
Star Blazers
Battleship,
was 1970s. Star Blazers was
Battleship
1970s.
Yamato.
Yeah, that's Star Blazers. It's
Yeah,
that.
my son introduced me to them.
Transform C was 1980s. Transform C was in the 80s. That's
Okay.
go no, not that. I want to say it's not Go Kaiser, is something like that. It's something else. I forgot the actual name of it. But Transform C went up under a different name, but we didn't get into like the 1980s here.
And sometimes they released them and then re-released them. Like I
Yes.
said, my first Studio Ghibli film
Mhm.
was Nausicaa, the Valley of the Wind, except when I saw it, the year I got pregnant with Charles, it was called Warriors of the Wind.
Mhm.
And it had a different voice cast, and of course the soundtrack remained the same.
But
But
the story was translated a different way.
and when they went back to the original title Nausicaa and put it back together, that's when they got Patrick Stewart to voice and stuff like that. But I had seen it in the 80s, listed as Warriors of the Wind, and had loved it, just like fell in love with it. So, so much came out, and sometimes they changed. It was, I think I was discussing one show with a friend long ago, and we realized we were talking about this show. They had seen it under one title, and I'd seen it under another. And it took a minute before I go, wait a minute, we're talking about the same show. It's just at this time it was called this, and at that time it's called that. Sorry.
Sir Patrick was the voice of Bambi's father in Bambi
I never
2.
watched Bambi 2. It's like his mommy died. I don't need to see more than that.
No, well, then again, we never questioned the animal kingdom. It's like, okay, mom died. What happened to dad? Why didn't we see dad until like the second movie? That's some nonsense.
Because the bucks don't raise the kids. Bucks don't raise the kids. He was a fawn. Bucks don't raise the fawns.
Mhm.
Bambi.
But I said that's animal, but that's just cruel animal kingdom.
Yeah, Bambi was raised by his mother, a dove.
Mhm.
It's only in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeers that the dads get in and do raising and teach them how to fly. I did not. Is that the original Bambi? Ah, okay. And then Bambi comes back older. Bambi chose to serve him with his father in that missing part. Got it.
Okay.
I never watched Bambi. The only Bambi sequel I ever got into was Bambi versus Godzilla. A friend sent me down. Oh, you have to watch this. You have to watch this. And I'm watching it, and it's like, you're gonna love this. And I'm like, what am I watching? He's like, no, just sit. It's like, it's Bambi. It's Bambi. And then, it's like, oh my goodness. I'm not supposed to laugh at this. Holy crap.
Bambi versus Godzilla.
I loved it. It's adorable. It's just for those of you who haven't seen it, because I haven't seen it on any place, but I will see if I can find it here on YouTube. If I find it, I'll let you know and give you the link, Joe. But it's this somebody did. It's a lovely little pen and ink of Bambi just standing there. He's chewing grass. He's just being Bambi, sitting there chewing grass, looking up occasionally. And it's not very long. It's only a couple of minutes. And it's Bambi. It's very cute. You're like, oh, it's Bambi. And all of a sudden, boom, Godzilla foot. No more Bambi. And it made me laugh because I think I had just started seeing Monty Python's Flying Circus on PBS. And so, and anybody who's ever seen Monty Python knows that the opening sequence always ends with the big baby foot coming down.
Right.
So, and that's one of the things that made me crack up. Every time I see the Monty Python, I think Bambi versus Godzilla, and just, I know I'm very, very mean. I am sorry, Beanie. What are we doing?
Right.
Oh,
this thing is getting me upset again because it's not seeing my mouse click here. But it's just one of those things. It's just one of those things here. We're probably going to end the show like with this here.
Okay.
This is the actual opening for Speed Racer in Japanese. In Japan, it's called Maka Go Go Go.
Yes, Maka Go.
Meaning that it's like the Mach 5 because it really is. Go stands for 5 in Japanese. So Mach 5 Go Go.
Okay.
Oh, this is not the one that actually has the actual subtitles. The subtitles actually states what it's actually saying here.
Well, I'm putting in the subtitles of the song I know. Leave me alone. I love that. It's like that car gets.
See, these are actual scenes that we never truly got in the American version here.
Well, yeah, he's gonna run over a couple elephants. Oh, okay. Wow. Except those cars should not be able to drive that easily. Well, it's the same end shot.
Yeah, so that was the actual intro for Speed Racer in its original continuity as Mach Go Go Go. And the song is actually a pretty song. It's talking about, as a scarf flows in the wind and everything. My goal, the goal is to win all the time. It talks about all the different adventures that he was going on, about how the car is unbeatable. It was never about him. It was about the car.
And when they brought it into America, they made it more about Speed and Stridle and Chim Chim and Mom and Dad and all of that.
Well, they play a part. But the central focus of Speed Racer was the car.
The car, whereas in the Americanized version, it was more, the central focus was more on Speed.
Mm-hmm.
And the adventures and stuff,
but the dynamic between Speed and Racer X was really coming back down to the fact that story was actually true.
Okay, that
Rex actually broke car 4. which Pops made. But because he raced, because of the way that he raced it, he was kind of like disowned, and he ended up becoming a part of the police force, and he became kind of like a spy.
Okay.
And in doing so, because he was the son of Pops, he ended up coming up with the concept of the Shooting Star, which was his car in the Speed Racer series. And it became to a point where, if I remember correctly, there was a thing about the true challenge of Racer X. Can the Mach 5 really beat the Shooting Star?
I always hated Racer X. And the reason I hated Racer X is because in the American version, there are those episodes where Speed confronts him, are you really my brother Rex Racer? And he punches him. And I just was like, I hate Racer X. I hope he gets run over by a bus. I felt the punching was unnecessary. It was just ridiculous, in my opinion.
Well, that's the reason why I like the live action movie better, because they explain why Rex could never go back to his family.
And that's fine, but to me, and I get part of it is because if you've grown up as an abused child, the idea of this person, you're just asking a question, and the response isn't no or whatnot. It's just this immediate violent response.
But you have to understand that was one scene that was not translated correctly.
But I get that now, but as a child,
it doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense. It's like, why is he? Just say no. Say no, turn around, walk away. Or yes, but something. But when your response is he's asking you this question, are you my brother? And you turn and you hit him. And you don't just hit him. He hits him in the stomach where he's bent over on the ground. It's like, oh my goodness, I hate him. Can somebody run over him with a bus, a steamroller, something, anything?
But that's the whole thing here. That was the whole thing that I didn't like about the American version of Speed Racer, because out of all things, Speed kept looking for his brother because he had no idea what happened to him. I believe Pops never told him.
Pops doesn't tell him.
Mm-hmm.
All he knows is he's got a brother out there somewhere. And he feels this connection with Racer X, that he senses there's something more going on than what he's being told. And he's this kid just trying to get to the bottom of it. And it's not like he's grabbing him or attacking him. He's not threatening or anything. He's just, are you my brother?
It's just the whole thing is like, how come you're always around to help me out at my greatest time of need? And it's like, and then he's like, hey, you're getting kind of familiar. Could you be? And then when he actually confronted him with it, it's just like,
yeah, it's
like pow. It's like, it's just one of those things that just did not translate very well between Japanese and the American version of the cartoon. But that's why I love what they did in the actual Speed Racer movie better. Because when he asked him, it's like how would you know that unless you are my brother, Rex?
You wouldn't have that information.
And Racer X came up to him, unmasked himself for the very first time, and it wasn't his brother.
Wow.
And then when he put his mask and stuff back on, it's like, see, we may come from similar paths, but no, I am not your brother. And then he kind of like he walks away, but then he kind of like walks away in such a way where he's like, I couldn't tell him. And then they sold him after he wrecks number 4. And then he joins up. They literally had to change his face and everything when he joined up with this covert ops group.
So nobody would recognize
Him.
And then he could get killed. Yeah.
That's what the movie did. I was like, I can appreciate that as opposed to how they played it in lore.
I had seen the previews and stuff of the movie, and I guess the guy who played Speed, I just wasn't feeling him.
He played a very good Speed.
Okay. I just, like I said, I
was not feeling whatchamacallit, the guy that played Dan Connor as Pops.
Oh, John Goodman.
John Goodman was Pops. You had what's her name? I forgot what that well-known actress played Mom.
Okay.
You had Christina Ricci as Trixie.
No.
This was a hellified cast for Speed Racer.
Yeah.
And it worked. And it actually worked.
Really?
Yes. It worked so much that a part of me wants to go ahead and write a screenplay for the most deadliest race for the whole re-envisioning of Speed versus Kamala. That's how good that movie was.
Okay.
But it was to me, it was a sleeper hit. Unless you got out of your expectations of what you think Speed Racer should have been and watched it for what it was, it's a great movie.
Like I said, I guess because the Speed Racer I grew up with, and that happens. There are things you grew up with as a child, especially depending on when you grew up with, when you get those things. They have
Yeah, it was very colorful. It was bright and colorful.
Yeah, I remember one reviewer kind of panning it for the visuals because some like my eyes are bleeding. It's like, wow, okay.
But it has to be because it wanted you to understand that it was a cartoon.
Yes.
It was literally mimicking a cartoon series. They did not go away from the cartooniness of the racing. Even the tracks that they raced on were futuristic, impossible racing type tracks here.
Anything like Redline? You ever see Redline?
No.
Oh, I will have to share that with you someday. Redline.
It was the anti-Zack Snyder equation. Yeah, it wasn't dark and gritty. This one was very colorful, very bright and neonish and everything. It really played up the fact that Speed was chasing after the legacy of Rex. Because Rex was really supposed to have been the champion. And then all of a sudden, he wipes out in this one race after setting this one record, and nobody heard from him ever since. And the thing about it is like, the thing about the way that they did it in the movie, they played it up like he didn't die. We just don't know what happened to him.
Okay.
Yeah, Speed Racing 2008 is an LSD trip exploded in your face. That she complained about how colorful everything was. It was very neon. It was very colorful. The story was there. It's just certain actors I just couldn't believe as the characters that they played. Like I couldn't believe Sprite, or I couldn't believe John Goodman as Pops. Even though he tried to do a good job, he did a good job. He tried his best, but he's not Pops Racer. He might have the build for it, but he was not Pops Racer.
I think sometimes, and we see
it. Tell me, what if he was that good as Pops Racer? How come we didn't get more of what he was in King Ralph? Because if he would have channeled more of the King Ralph type energy, he would have been a better Pops Racer. To me, they just put him in with the big old mustache and the Pops uniform. It's like, here, go and say these few lines, and that will be it. Paycheck earned.
and sometimes
because he didn't write it.
And you know, I have seen actors do roles where it's like, okay, you just did this, but you didn't do this because you cared about the film. You just did it for the paycheck. You know, I have seen no end of films where you sit there and it's like, okay,
Again,
you just got a paycheck. You
you
don't
had
you
John
didn't
Goodman
care
and
what the
Susan
movie.
Sarandon playing mom and pop's racer.
And
Susan
she
Sarandon
probably just did it for the
knocked
paycheck.
her role out of the park
Okay.
about being the worried mother of an auto racer. She knocked that out of the park here. Christina Ricci as Trixie knocked it out of the park. I just believe that they like Leia said, she should they should have given him better lines.
Probably.
Same thing with Spritle and Chim Chim. Spritle was not Spritle to me.
You know, and that could also, a lot of times, that it's how well a director can convey to their actors what they're going for. And sometimes, especially with movies like that where you put so much energy into the visuals, that you forget that you're working with flesh and blood people. And you put, from what I could tell, from what I've heard, there's a lot in the visuals that they put in that movie. And sometimes, and some directors are really good at visuals, but they don't work with actors well. And there are directors who are really great with actors who suck at the visuals. And then you get those directors who do both very well. Spielberg was really good at working with actors. He really shines working with kids and certain adult actors. And he also gets the visual language. You know, not all directors are like that. Some of them are really good with the actors and crap on.
Daisy Ridley was good as Ray, but even Sir Lawrence Olivier or Meryl Streep couldn't bring gravitas to that role.
I
Wow.
liked
Wow.
I like Daisy. I love Daisy Ridley as Ray. I do. I really loved her as Ray. And I actually enjoyed those films. I know a lot of people will crap on them. And there's that point where it's like, you know what? And I get it. It's like, and sometimes you get in that Star Wars should be Luke, Leia, Han, you know, and you don't want to see anything beyond that. When Star Trek The Next Generation came out, there were a lot of older Trekkies who were very much, that's not my Star Trek. You know, you get that sort of battling where you know, the the guys from the original show don't want to see that show. We're seeing it now with Star Trek Academy. I see a lot
Star
of
Trek
posts.
Academy, and what was the other one?
Starfleet Academy. That's a Starfleet Academy. You see it with a lot of people who are like, that's
no,
not my Star
Discovery.
Trek.
Discovery is not our Star Trek.
You know, but I've seen a lot of people. I see it with Academy. I'm seeing a lot of that's not my Star Trek. You know, and it's like, no, because the story evolves. The story continues. It moves forward. And it moves forward in with consideration for the audience that they're speaking to. This is Star Trek for another. They're speaking to another generation of fans. People, and it's interesting because I crack up. A couple of people have said, "How can you be so mad about the DEI wokeness of Starfleet Academy?" You know, and claim you're a Star Trek fan, and
From the
yet
1960s that started out with this type of stuff here.
a
But
deck officer who was a black woman. You know, she wasn't Yeoman Rand bringing
fourth
coffee.
in command of the Enterprise.
Hello,
Not just a deck officer. Fourth in
fourth in
command by
command.
rank. By rank, fourth in command.
But a lot of it's interesting because it's like, what Star Trek did you watch as a kid? Because that ain't the Star Trek I watched, and I watched both the original series and the animated when it came out. You know,
Don't get me started with the animated series about how Nimoy and Shatner almost pulled rank or Filmation It almost had, and we would have never had the animated series because they wanted to replace Sulu and Uhura with other characters, talking about, oh, we don't need their voices and this, that, and the other. They was like, no.
No, it's either if it's supposed to be the crew of the Enterprise, then it's the crew of the Enterprise, and this is what the crew of the Enterprise is.
Yeah.
You can either do it as that or you can stuff it. But what I'm saying is, we have seen Star Trek grow and expand, each time expanding its universe. The Alpha Quadrant going into the Delta Quadrant. We see these characters, as you know, as the world has changed. They have, you know, especially with Star Trek. If you think about the first, we saw a female captaining not a ship for 5 minutes, but who had a series around a female Starfleet character, captain. We've seen Cisco, and neither of them, they were not,
He
they
turned it down. Walter Cornett turned it down, remember?
Yeah. It was James Doohan. But we have the whole point of is pushing those boundaries. I think the Great Bird, which is what those of us from way back in the day, refer to Roddenberry as. He started being in the early days of the fan conventions. They started referring to him as the Great Bird of the Galaxy. And now, whenever certain actors die or whatever, it's like, may the Great Bird, may you soar under the Great Bird's wing. But I think Roddenberry, if he were alive, I think he would be proud to know that show that he had to fight so hard for, that Lucy Ball had to put money up so that they could reshoot a new pilot, because NBC felt the first one was too cerebral and people wouldn't get it. I think he would be proud to know that this show he created has not just survived, but gone on.
Transcended.
It's transcended. It's evolved. It's consistently moving. Even if there are things, I never liked Lower Decks. I just didn't like the central character. To me, she was too much of a headache. That being said, the fact that they were making a Star Trek animated series about the people below decks, as opposed to everybody on the bridge, I liked that idea of it. And I wasn't about to tell everybody else I knew, don't watch that show because I'm not into it. It's like, well, I'm just not into her. So yeah, I'm probably not going to watch much more of it.
Lower Decks to me is a niche show anyway, because of the simple fact that it wasn't the fact that it was about the crew members that's below decks. It was just too much niche. I felt that they were too much fanboying the fact of all of these other great characters that was in Star Trek lore, instead of focusing on becoming what they supposed to become.
Yeah. There was a lot of that too.
That's one of the reasons why Brave New World, there's certain things I like about it. And I should say, instead of like love about it, and there's a lot of stuff that I hated about it. Yeah. But I enjoyed the greater majority of it because it went back to show you how we got to the Kirk era of Star Trek.
Yeah.
Through the whole thing, going through the whole adventure with Pike and Pike being captain. We saw a lot of growth with Spock. We saw a lot of growth of Uhura. And the actress that they got to play Uhura did a good job, outside of the fact that it wasn't, Nichelle Nichols. We saw her growth from being an ensign to what she is now.
Yeah.
Going from being a person that had little to no family to having a family within the Enterprise.
She made
and finding her own.
Yeah.
In her aspect here.
She carved her space out.
And we saw the evolution of number one. And that was the other thing that I did not realize until after rewatching until after rewatching the original pilot. The original pilot, for it to be saying too cerebral, what I take from it is there's not enough true action. No, there was no real manly fighting in it. It's like, no, this
Well,
was
that
chess.
and the
The
first
captain was playing chess with those aliens,
and
and
the
that was the
first
thing.
officer was a woman, and
Mhm.
she wasn't a "Oh, I'm the girl on the ship." She was like, "Hello, I will." Don't make me smack you, because it's like, oh, you can't we got you in a situation you can't get out of. Hey, see this? This is my phaser. I'm gonna set this bitch on self destruct. Let's see what happens. And it's like, oh, okay, back down, back down, back down. You're not playing. you know, it's like, because that I always loved that about number one when they were like, yeah, you're in a situation where you can't do anything about it. It's like, okay, see this? This is a phaser. Let me set this puppy on self destruct. We can all go together. And, and they blinked, and it was a woman who made them do it. They blinked because they were like, yeah, Captain, we got you over a barrel. I always love that. And they had a and they put it out in pocketbook form. They had the old fanzine where you
Mhm.
could write, they had articles and short stories, and you could write in questions and stuff. And that's when I learned that, yeah, Major Barrett played number one and then Christine, but they were also supposed to be sisters. I did not know that originally. So it wasn't until I read the later article and I read some of Bijo Trimble's stuff and went, oh, okay. And for those of you who would like
Did
a
did
better
they did
view
they
of,
mention number one's origin in the pilot like they did in Brave New Worlds?
no, they don't mention it in the pilot.
So they never mentioned that she was an augment.
No.
Okay.
What you get in the pilot though is she is as logical as Spock.
Oh no,
She is
they
as
made certain that
calculating as Spock.
she was actually more calculated than Spock could be,
And
and she validated a lot of the things that Spock was saying.
that, yeah, and that she didn't, that that she may have been she may have been a woman in that group, but you needed to pay attention to who she was and what she was doing because hello, she could take you out. And not
Yeah, she could take you out because she was an augment. She
you know
was a lot stronger and a lot more durable than most of the crew there. That was
but
the other thing that they never said here.
they never said that in that, and they
Right.
probably would have expanded on it, but like I said, and knowing what NBC was at the time, because she wasn't in the mini skirt with the culottes underneath, she was
Mhm.
in pants.
Mhm.
They felt that she was too butch, and so they wanted more feminine characters. They didn't want a first officer who was a woman, who was strong, capable, and exceptionally logical. She wasn't soft. And Lucy could see where he was going because she was the only one when he pitched her. She was his last. He was at that. I got nowhere else to go.
Mhm.
I've already run this by everybody and their mama and been told no. And then she said yes. And she let him know when I say yes, I mean yes, so that you need to reshoot this pilot. Let me cut you a check. She put her money because she saw where he was going. And so it's like, yeah, I know how to put my money where my mouth is. I believe in you and what you're doing enough. And I will forever love Lucy for that, if nothing else. Okay. So you want to say something about Lucy? Don't make me get stabby on you because it will get ugly.
Okay. Well, we got
It
in.
is
Yeah.
after 9. I
Yep.
have not eaten, and I've got plantains that I'm going to make for myself because I got them frozen for Trader Joe's. So I just have to cook them up in a skillet. I'm gonna make me some plantains. I'm gonna get ready to go to bed because I have to get up tomorrow and get stuff done. All the paperwork that is boring to anybody who doesn't do what we do. It's all the paperwork and stuff. And oh, She's still there. Leia, what do you think? That's going to be one of the posters I'm doing. Would you like one? Did she leave already?
No,
Oh, okay.
she's still there. She talked about, and Jeffrey Hunter is like do everything and just want to quit.
Okay. I will. No, it's a gift. I will give a copy to Joe. When we're at C2E2, I'll give you a copy. And he'll send it to you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll send it to you. Don't worry. I'll give it to Joe, and Joe will send it to you. Okay.
Yes, I saw that. She.
Well, anyway, it's late. I need to eat
Okay.
and get settled in because I've got, like I said, I've got a lot of stuff. So thank you guys for coming. Thank you, Leia. Joe Cooties. I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna be using that, girl. Again, thank you for watching, whether you hear with us live, whether you watch us later, all the same. Make sure to like, subscribe, because I told you have to do that, or the algorithm will get mad at us. I'm Elaine Haygood, lenscaponline.com. Go to my website, drop me a line, let me know you were there. I will respond to you directly. Yeah, I'm weird that way. Anyway, y'all have a lovely evening. Take care of yourselves. Don't, it's always good to be crazy, but not so much that you go stupid. All right? Y'all have a good one. Bye.
All right. And tonight's episode of Comic Book Spectrum is brought to you by Plasma Fire Graphics. You know who Jeffrey Hayes is, and you know that you need a good cover for your novel, graphic novel, comic book, and whatever. Why don't you just give him a call or hit him up on plasmafiregraphics.com and have him do the cover? If you don't believe me, take a look at this video.
You've worked hard and written a great book. Now it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasma Fire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
And that is pretty much Jeffrey Hayes in a nutshell. So if you need that brand new cover, go ahead and hit him up on plasmafiregraphics.com or his Facebook group for Plasma Fire Graphics. As far as I'm concerned, I will be back here Saturday for another episode of From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher. I probably will elaborate more on what's going on for C2E2. Let's not forget about, I believe, let me consult my calendar. Yes, there's going to be another comic book. We got next week, Comic Book Spectrum, From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher, and then the multiverse fundraiser at 1 p.m. Central. Until then, I am Joe D. McPhee. Let life grow and be well. And we are out of here for the week. And like our founder, Brian K. Morris, I don't care if you wash your hands, but never, and I do me, never apologize for being awesome. See you guys later. Have a good rest of your Thursday.